Hola chicos, otra vez vamos a revisar el capítulo 10.2, el imperfecto y el pretérito. So let's get right to it. Okay, so we just talked about the imperfect. Now we're going to talk about the imperfect and the preterite. Okay, when to use them when you're working to get with them together. Okay, so let's look at some differences here. So now that you've learned the forms of the preterite and the imperfect, remember the imperfect endings are aba, abas, aba, abamos, aban for AR verbs. And for ER verbs, ia, ias, ia, íamos, ian. No? Ia, íamos, ia, ias, ia, íamos, ian. Okay? Muy bien. So the preterite and the imperfect, while they are both talking about the past, right, they're not interchangeable because we looked at the graphics, right? It's a point on a timeline for the preterite. It's a span of time for the imperfect. Preterite is a picture, a snapshot. A video would be the imperfect, right? Something that is ongoing, okay? So in Spanish, the choice between these two tenses depends on the context and the point of view of the speaker. Okay, so let's look at some examples here. Me rompí el brazo cuando estaba paseando en bicicleta. Okay, now this uses both the preterite and the imperfect. Here we have the preterite, right? And let's think about why. Okay, so when you break your arm, that action has a clear beginning and an end, right? It's done. You have broken your arm, right? But you were in an ongoing activity when I was riding my bike, right? That would be the ongoing activity, and that's why that verb right here, estaba paseando en bicicleta, would be in the imperfect, and I broke my arm would be in the preterite because it's something that happened and had an end, right? But this is an ongoing action where you were riding your bike around, but you broke your arm, right? All right, tenía dolor de cabeza. Remember when we're talking about mental or emotional states, we're going to use the imperfect. Tenía dolor de cabeza, pero, okay, but I took a pill or an aspirin and it left me, okay? So these actions here, tomé una aspirina, that has a clear beginning and an end. And it left me, that also has a clear beginning. The headache went away, right? But I was having headache, head pain for a while. That's an ongoing action right there, and also a mental or emotional state, physical state, mental, emotional state. Tenía dolor de cabeza. I had a headache, but I did this. In this instance, I took a pill and it left me. Okay, and that's why these would be in the preterite and that would be the imperfect. Very good. All right, so let's look at some concrete examples here of when to use the preterite and when to use the imperfect. So when you're talking about the use the preterite, we're going to do we're going to express actions that are viewed by the speaker as completed. So something that is done. We looked at the timeline, right? The dot on the timeline. It's done. We can track the beginning and the end. Sandra broke her leg, right? Sandra se rompió la pierna. Sandra se rompió la pierna. That has a clear beginning and an end. She wasn't breaking her leg. We're not talking about that like an ongoing, well, she's here, she's still breaking it. No, something that happens, right? You break your leg and it's done. Fueron a Buenos Aires ayer. Another thing when you see things like yesterday that has a clear timeline, right? You can mark the beginning and an end of an activity or an action. Then you would use the preterite. Fueron a Buenos Aires ayer. If you were talking about, they used to go to Buenos Aires a lot. Iban a Buenos Aires todos los veranos. Every summer they went to Buenos Aires. That would be when you would use the, iban, perdón. Todos los veranos iban a Buenos Aires, right? That's when you would use the imperfect. But yesterday, that's got a clear beginning and an end. You would use the imperfect, or the preterite. All right, now, so we're going to use the imperfect to describe an ongoing past action with no reference to the beginning or in the end. That's important. We're not having a reference to the beginning of the action or in the end of the action, and that's when we would use the imperfect. So, for example, here, if you were wanting to talk about a story and you're saying, I was waiting on the doctor yesterday, it took forever. Esperaba al doctora. So it's just like something that had an ongoing notion, right? There's no beginning or reference to the end here in that action, so we'd use the imperfect. El médico se preocupaba por sus pacientes. The doctor worried about his patients. Okay, that's an ongoing action. He was constantly worrying about his patients. Yeah, it's not like he just worried about them for one instant yesterday. And there's also no mention to the beginning or end of that. All right, we're also going to use the preterite to express the beginning or end of an action. Okay, that's important. That's making it different than our imperfect, where we describe one with no reference to the beginning or an end. Here with the preterite, we will express the beginning or end of an action. So, la película empezó a las 9. If you're talking about began, right, it's already happened. Or if it ended, it's already happened. So that's why we can track those and use those with the preterite. La película empezó a las 9. It began at 9 o'clock. Ayer terminé el proyecto para la clase de química. I finished the project for chemistry class. Okay, now we'll use the imperfect to express habitual past actions and events. Remember when we were talking about I used to do this, right? Cuando era joven, you'll see that as an ending a lot, or excuse me, a setup for the imperfect tense. When I was young, I used to play tennis. Cuando era joven, jugaba al tenis, right? But someone that's on the tennis team could say, ayer jugué al tenis, right? Jugué al tenis. Yesterday I played tennis, but we're talking more of like a habitual thing or an ongoing thing, right? When I was young, jugaba al tenis. De niño, Eduardo se enfermaba con mucha frecuencia. He used to get sick a lot as a child. But you could say, la semana pasada estuve enfermo. I was sick last week, right? But it has a reference to the end. Here, we're talking about more as a child, when I was young, okay? And that's why we'd use the imperfect with those. All right, last thing here. So we're going to use the preterite to narrate a series of past actions or events, and that's because you're talking about the end or the beginning of an event. The doctor looked at my ears, he asked me some questions, and he wrote a prescription, right? La doctora me miró los oídos, me hizo unas preguntas, y escribió la receta. So the doctor, she did all of these things. She looked at my ears, she asked some questions, and she wrote a prescription. That's something that is over. It's done with. You're talking about a story. This is what like happened, right? You're talking about it is over with. It's happened. Okay? Bien. Me di con la mesa, me caí y me lastimé el pie, right? I hit the table, I fell, and then I hurt my foot. Me lastimé el pie. That's why we would use the preterite there, because you're talking about things that are done. They've happened, right? They're not ongoing. You're not ongoing hurting your foot, right? You just hurt your foot. It was in el pasado, right? And it has a beginning or an end. We know it's done. We know that action's over with, so it's preterite. All right, we're going to use the imperfect to describe physical and emotional states or characteristics. La chica quería descansar, se sentía mal y tenía dolor de cabeza, right? She wanted to rest. She felt bad and she had a headache. Remember, when we're talking about physical and emotional states or characteristics, we're going to use the imperfect like we did with this other example back here. Tenía dolor de cabeza, right? You're talking about a mental, emotional, or physical state characteristic. So we would use the imperfect with that. Ellos eran altos y tenían ojos verdes, right? This is something that's more permanent, okay? When you're talking about characteristics, they were tall and they had green eyes. Eran altos y tenían ojos verdes. Finally, estamos felices de ver a la familia. Emotional, right? We were happy to see the family. Imperfecto. Okay, bien. Now, the preterite and the imperfect will often appear in the same sentence. So in such cases, the imperfect describes what was happening, while the preterite describes the action that interrupted the ongoing activity. So we'll look at it. We'll look at these examples here. I was watching TV, miraba la tele cuando sonó el teléfono, right? You have the ongoing action, I was watching TV, but it was interrupted by my phone ringing. Hola, diga, right? Ring, ring, you were watching TV, that happened, right? So that's why the interrupting activity would be in the preterite. You're interrupting something in the imperfect. I was watching TV, describes an ongoing activity, but this is breaking that up, interrupting the ongoing activity, so it would be in the preterite. Felicia leía el periódico. She was reading the paper when Ramiro arrived, right? Boom, that is an activity that has an ending, right? So we would need to make sure that we put that one in the imperfect. Felicia leía el periódico cuando llegó Ramiro. All right, you also see the preterite and the imperfect together in narratives such as fiction, news, and retelling of events. The imperfect provides background information like time, weather, location, and then the preterite, what it's going to do is indicate the specific events that occurred, okay? So, eran las 2 de la mañana y el detective ya no podía mantenerse despierto. Se bajó lentamente del coche, estiró las piernas y levantó los brazos hacia el cielo oscuro. Okay, so that's just kind of setting the stage with the background, like it was saying, with the weather, the time, important events, and then it's talking about the events that occurred with the preterite. La luna estaba llena y no había en el cielo ni una sola nube. De repente, el detective escuchó un grito espeluznante proveniente del parque. Okay, so this is being interrupted by the moon was full and there wasn't a cloud in the sky. Okay, and all of a sudden, when you see things like de repente or cuando, right, you're going to be thinking preterite because it's interrupting. When all of a sudden, the detective heard a yell coming from the park. Bien. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at this activity here. Let me scroll down here. Okay, I'm going to share my screen with you guys. So you go ahead and when I bring this activity up, I want you to pause, do the activity, and then we will reconvene in a little bit. You can just resume the video and we will go over the activity, okay? All right, let's go ahead and go over the activity here. Let me stop share really quick. All right, let's go ahead and go back over this activity. I hope you guys have had some time to look at it. All right, so here what we're going to be doing is selecting the correct version of the verb, whether it be in preterite or the imperfect, okay? So we have to use our clues, all right? We also have to look at the uses of the verbs, all right? So remember, when you're talking about age, okay, we have to use the imperfect, right? You have to use the imperfect here on number 1. So, cuando yo tenía 7 años, mi mamá, right? Un día is another clue, right? Un día, one day, cuando yo tenía 7 años, mi mamá me, so that one's going to be in the preterite, right? Because it's saying un día, my mom took me to a birthday party of my cousin Isabela. Bien. All right, cuando. All right, now, so here we're talking about when they arrive. So that's something, remember, the beginning or an ending of an activity, we're going to use the preterite. So cuando llegaron los payasos a animar la fiesta, yo comencé a lanzarles helado. I started throwing ice cream at them. Mi mamá me regañó y yo, all right, so this one is talking about enojarse. That's talking about a mental or emotional state. Y yo me enojaba, right? We have to use the imperfect tense in that one because we're talking about a mental state. All right, he's saying, I was very bored. Estaba muy aburrido y, all right, remember when we're talking about the beginning or an ending, empezar or terminar, we got to use the preterite because you can track that activity, right? It's got a beginning. So that would be empecé, right? That one's got a little bit of an irregular. Remember our zar verbs will change in the yo form to se, zar se, car que, gar ge. Right? A correr por toda la casa, pero no vi que, all right? I didn't see that there was. So that's going to be ongoing, right? Que había, that's, you know, it's been there for a while. Había una puerta, there was a glass door delante de mí y, all right? So when you're talking about something that happened, I hit the glass door, me di con ella, right? Me di con ella. That's going to be preterite because you're talking about I ran into it. That can track. All right, now remember when you're talking about I broke it, I broke, me rompí la nariz, right? That's an action that occurred and is ending. Y, all right, another injury, we can track that as well on our timeline. Me corté la boca con un vidrio. Mi mamá me llevó al hospital y un doctor, right, me gave me an injection, me puso una inyección para el dolor. That's going to be preterite as well. Una enfermera me dijo que, all right, this one's going to be more of like an ongoing thing that I ought to have more care when I'm running to avoid those accidents. Debía tener más cuidado al correr para evitar esos accidentes. Mi mamá, all right, she's talking about a state right here, so we're going to be in the preterite or in the imperfect. Estaba muy preocupado y de pronto, all right, talking about mental or emotional states. They're trying to trick you there, but it's still se sentía, because we're talking about how she feels. El doctor la, all right, examined her. That's going to have a beginning and an end, a clear beginning and an end. So we're going to use the preterite there. El doctor la examinó y al final le dijo que estaba embarazada. She was pregnant. Hoy tengo un hermanito menor y cada vez lo veo, me acuerdo de ese accidente. Muy bien. Okay, so those are some examples of using the preterite with the imperfect. Okay, so make sure you do your assignment for 10.1 and 10.2. We will be meeting again next week to prepare for the final exam, so I will see you guys then. But until then, make sure you get all your work done. If you've not completed any of your work that you still have yet to send to me, please do that. I will give you partial credit. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to try and get a lot of the grading done this weekend. It's been a lot more grades than normal with it being online. So I will try and get all those done this weekend to have you a better picture of what you will have going into the final. So if you have any questions about your grade, let me know. If you have any questions about next week, let me know. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you soon.